So, hey, Jason, thank you so much for coming on. So, really, I just want to kind of let the world know more about you, although you're out and about in a lot of places. But I met you first at a conference not too terribly long ago, but since then, I've been just so impressed by all that you do, both in social media, but also I can see that your business is really good. So, before we get started with that, most people are not real estate agents forever. Were you something before you got into real estate?
Yeah, I moved to San Diego back in 2010. I'm from Sacramento, born and raised, and I moved down here for a job at Wells Fargo. So I was a branch manager there for a couple years. I started as a teller, banker, assistant manager, and then I left that to get in, and I got into real estate. So
Okay.
that's about it. And odd jobs in like college and stuff. I worked at Abercrombie and Quiznos and landscaping, and then went to Wells Fargo, and then got into real estate.
What
So
made you think about real estate being a good idea?
to be honest, there was a guy who used to come into the bank and we would always approve his checks. And I was always like, he makes how much money? Like he makes more
You saw
entire
what he
year.
made.
I think that prompted like me looking into it. And then I was like, oh, this seems cool. Like obviously entrepreneurial, set your own schedule, set your own business. Isn't that a little bit of a trap? Set your own schedule.
Right, right.
But it was just like obviously like the freedom of not having to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And it was something I could do right away. I felt like I could make a career out of it. And so that plus seeing the checks that are associated with it is what kind of made me look into real estate. And then once I saw what it was about, I liked it.
I love that. So then, what year was it when you first got in?
2012.
2012?
2012. Yeah, it was like the
Okay.
end of 2012. I got licensed in quarter 1 of 2013. And so at the end of 2012, I started like working with my first broker who I worked with. I helped him do like property management and like lease turnovers and stuff. And then as I was getting my license, and then I got licensed and started. Yeah.
Okay. And at least you missed the housing crash a bit.
I know. I started at the end of it as the market was rebounding a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I didn't live through '08 to 12. I started in 12.
that's
It really
actually
was like
good
beginning of
time because
13.
you still had to learn the fundamentals, but it wasn't like the
Yeah.
unicorn years, but you didn't have to go through the horrible
Yeah.
years
13
either.
through 15 or 13 through 16, I think were like good years. And then 16 through 19 were like normal years, I guess you would say.
Hmm.
And then COVID hits and then it gets really busy again. And so 2020 and 2021 were wildly busy. And then now 22 through 25 have been slow. So like I've seen a few different shifts, but not like the '08 through 12. But I've seen 3 or 4 shifts now where it goes from seller to buyer to seller to buyer.
Yeah, where you have to actually have skills.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was telling my team is all, I have 2 team members who have been licensed for just as long as me, and then the rest are 5 years or newer. And I'm like, yeah, you're having to use a skill set that you didn't have to do
Right.
your entire career, talking about
That's
price
right.
adjustments or
Yes,
time on market and stuff. Yeah,
that's true. And it's nice now because at least now, even though there's more time on market, you can actually market a home
totally.
correctly versus just, shoot, I just spent all that money to market when in multiples
And
in
it's
one
sold.
day.
Exactly. Yeah, it's sold. And it's good for buyers because obviously like that 2020 and 2021 was just not, it wasn't healthy where the
No,
buyers were, there was 14 offers and you had to waive appraisals and inspection and give up your firstborn. That's just, it's not a healthy market. So
no.
this is much better.
So what stage of the process did you start building a team right away, or did you make your way?
Like year 6 or something, like halfway through when I realized I was starting to let opportunities slip through the cracks, just because I always say is like right around 25 deals a year-ish. 20 to 25 is where you're going to, unless you have a great admin or assistant, is where you're going to start to see deals slipping.
Hmm.
And so like that for me, that was right about that time. And I brought on an assistant and then a buyer's agent. And then those 2 things together, they started helping me with some of my business to get some of my time back as well as do some more deals. And then it grew from there. But yeah, it was like year 5 or 6, I think is
How
what it
many?
was. And it started with an assistant.
How many do you have now in your team?
10.
Okay. And do they have their own businesses, or you are the kind of the CEO? And
No, I'm the CEO of the Team Ridge. We call it a Team Ridge, but it's a team within the brokerage, but we almost operate like our own little brokerage. But that being said, obviously we're on the real platforms. So that's just, they handle all of our brokerage stuff for us. We love that relationship. And then, but they keep the numbers like in their name. Like I know there's lots of different team models, but
right.
if you look at the MLS, I think our goal next year is to do 100 deals for 100 million. It won't be 100 deals in my name. They'll have their own. Like I'm on listings, I'm the secondary agent, and on buy sides, they keep their own buy sides. But we do provide the infrastructure. I pay for the office, the CRM, the software that goes with it. We do trainings, accountabilities, mentorship, team meetings, and then we have a Zillow account too. So like the lead flow it all comes from me. But then they do
Right.
their own, the good ones especially. They have their own brands and their own Instagrams and their own stuff like that. And so we talk and we share ideas and stuff like that. But they get to keep their own. They run their own little businesses within the team. They just get help and support.
For office, do you guys have the meetings like a requirement, or is it just more group culture?
Group culture, but it's if somebody, and this just happened recently where someone left the team and it was like I hadn't seen him in 3 months. It's like, hey, and if I notice that someone's not there after a couple of weeks, I'm going to text them and call them and be like, yeah, I haven't seen you. What's going on? Everything okay? And it's so as a team leader, like I think the stat is there's always going to be about 20 to 30% attrition on any given team. And so for a team of 10, that's 2 or 3 people a year that may leave. And then you're looking to potentially add 2 or 3 as well to offset the 2 or 3 loss if you want to keep the team at 10. And that happened this year. We had, for the first time ever, actually, most of our people have stayed. I've had team members as long as 6 years. Some people moved. And then this year was the first year that a couple people left for various reasons. But at a certain point, yeah, so we have team meetings every Tuesday, or now Mondays we switched it. And then we have a lead check-in kind of pipeline review on Friday, because also with the Zillow account, you got to update the leads in the CRM and Follow Up Boss. And so we have both those meetings. And so if someone doesn't come to the meetings after even a couple weeks, I'm finding out what's going on. You know what I mean? And I have a director of sales as well. And so he'll check in with them too. But yeah, so it's not a requirement in the sense that you have to be there. If stuff happens, especially in real estate, sometimes you have to go show property but I'll notice very quickly if someone's not showing up.
Yeah, yeah. And at least from what I've researched, it seems as if you have one of more recognizable and respected personal brands in San Diego and in that area, which I think it's probably got to be very competitive there. What have you done intentionally to help you stand out in that very crowded market?
Yeah, we have, I think, 30,000 agents, like licenses here just in San Diego County alone between the multiple MLSs or whatever. But I've never waited. Since I got into the business in 2013, I leaned in heavily to social media and video marketing just as a way to brand myself. We have this like phrase that I always say with the team. It's there's nothing you can do to make someone buy a house when they're not ready, but you can stay top of mind so that when they're ready, they come to you instead of going to Zillow or Google or somewhere else, right? And so that's the thesis of everything we do is, hey, can we provide value? I think everybody buys or sells every 8 years, give or take. And so for 7 years and 9 months, they don't need your real estate information. They don't need your market updates and valuations. But can you give them hyper-local information, news about the new farmers market, the 3 favorite coffee shops, these new developments that are coming, maybe some real estate sprinkled in there, maybe some obviously listing videos and tours and stuff that you're doing. But can you stay relevant in elsewhere? And that's where social media and video marketing really comes in, is like this allows us to be known for those other 7 years and 9 months of the sales cycle.
That's actually very well put. You make sense. Now, do you do anything specific to stay top of mind with previous clients that you've done deals with?
Of course, yeah. So all of our clients are in our CRM, and then they're tagged with a client tag. And so they get invited to our client events. We do gifting from time to time, and then we have everybody who we have their address, which would be all of our clients that have bought with us in the past, and some of our seller leads are set up on home valuations through Real Scout, which is a software we use. And whether that be HomeBot or Real Scout or something that automatically gives them a market update or a home valuation, we set it to monthly because it's just passive. But then it also plugs into our follow-up boss, and so we can see when our clients are opening the email. So it's like, hey, Billy opened this email 4 times, their home valuation. It's, I should probably reach out to Billy today. So that's just like meat and potatoes of a real estate agent, is having your database hooked up to some sort of home valuation. Or if they're looking for properties, then you would do that on like a property search, whether they're looking for a 3-bed, 2-bath in Kensington under $2 million, whatever, you set up their search so that the new properties get sent to them. So yes, we have our clients in a database. We do our best to include everybody when we do client events and or type just team events and something we want clients to partake in, whether it be virtual or in person. And then from that point too, they get their automated valuations as well. And trying to get better about maybe just contacting. Part of my prospecting cadence is I open up Follow Up Boss, which is our CRM. And then I just sort by activity to see who's been active in the last day or two. And then I start with those people, right? So I'll follow up with those people first. And so the goal is to potentially talk to everybody in your database every quarter, give or take.
Are you doing, outside of Zillow, are you doing any specific actions or tasks to continue to keep the pipeline growing or building?
Coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the team comes in because so at this point in my career, I haven't taken a lead. Take that back because I've started to take some leads at the end of this year because our Zillow numbers were dropping in. So I wanted to jump back in and see why. And so I've been taking leads myself and then working through with my team. But for the probably 4 years before that, I hadn't taken a lead at all. So the leads were coming in to go to my team
Got
and
it.
then they were converting them. And then obviously I was getting a split off of them, but then they were building up their businesses. And then we do me personally. So like I have my book of business, I'm still in production, and then we have the team. So me personally, I also then do like a geographic farm, and then so we send out mailers, and then I send out email updates every week. So I work with Listing Leads, which is a Jimmy Mackin's company, where they'll give you like an email to send out. I don't send it the same way every single week, but like I do some version of an email database or email blast. And then yeah, we have a geographic farm, and then I get a lot of agent to agent referrals, which has been that I think that's a benefit of social as well, just being active on video marketing. And so then all of a sudden you get a bunch of agent to agent referrals. And if those agent to agent referrals come to me, usually I work them as well because they're coming to me. I may tap in an agent partner and then give them a cut of it, but for the most part, I'm working those. So between agent to agent referrals, past client book of business database, our geographic farm, that keeps me too busy. I have 2 kids under 6, and like the time is already, and now 10 team members who are doing one-on-ones and business planning and all this stuff. So that's enough for me. I don't need to do anything else. But then the team, we also have online lead spend, and then any overflow leads that come in would go to the team members.
That's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you were just a part of, is it called BAMX or now BAM? Whichever, both. It's the same.
Both. Now BAM is the media company that
and BAMX
is owned.
is the platform.
That's the monthly paid platform where all of the trainings go on. It actually happens within their school community, but BAMX is basically all of the academy training type stuff, which is plentiful. That there's so many courses in there that you can take.
Yeah, I'm a part of it.
Stuff like that.
That's good.
Yeah. That's my friend Eric Simon, who runs the Broke Agent account, and then Byron Lazine, who is they co-founded BAM, which is the Broke Agent Media, and it's
I actually just talked to Byron the
arm.
other day, or did an interview with him. So yeah, it was interesting.
I'm sorry. It must have been a dry interview. Just kidding. I love Byron. He's
great.
Byron's very smart. He's the number 1 agent in Connecticut, I think, for a reason.
Crazy. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, he was good. But we talked on that episode too about the Bammy Awards, which is a video award, and your listing video, the category of listing videos is the most difficult one, but yours, I think, was amazing. What I'd love to hear is your thought process, and then how do you execute such a cinematic, amazing with actors video, which was so good.
Good. Yeah. Thanks. First of all, that video, we did 4 this year that we would consider like premier cinematic videos. There were 2 that really stood out. One of them won the award at the Real Conference for best listing video. And then the second one was the one you were talking about on the Bammies with the kid.
And that was like the Home Alone theme.
Home
Alone. So good.
Yeah, he got left home alone, and so he ran through the house and ate ice cream and jumped on the bed and jumped in the pool. But the whole point was that while he's running through the house, he's also like showing off the house. That was the whole concept. So it was a listing video, but done in a different way so that it would keep the user watching and keep the viewer watching, and then get to show off the house, but then also have a cute story. And so ultimately, like, I took inspo early on in my career. There's an agent here in San Diego. His name's Seth O'Byrne, and he did these cinematic videos similar to this. Sometimes he would have actors, sometimes he would do it, he would be in it or something, but there was always a story to it.
Yeah.
We're in the industry, we've seen every listing video with just the aerial drone shots and some cool sounds and some cool music. And now those videos are actually even getting really good with some of the editing where they like pop in and pop out. Those are cool. By the way, that is like better than 99% of the people who just don't do anything, or they just use the photos with a slideshow music or something. That's not a video. So then the next tier would be like those faceless videos, which are aerial drones and stuff. And those are very cool. But I even found myself, I'm like, I'm not going to watch that. I'm going to skip right through. Videos are actually probably the least efficient way to view a house because you're at the mercy of the videographer. So I'd rather actually look at it like a 3D tour, like the Matterport interactive 3D tours, or the photos, because I'm going to be, as a buyer, I can actually see more of what I want to see. Because if I want to go back, I can go back. If I want to turn left. But videos and what we watch movies for is the story. And what I decided to do over the last couple of years was reinvent that Seth O'Byrne inspo that I took from early in my career and say, how can I use the this house to tell a story. And so this Matt Leonetti, who actually won the listing video of the year on the Bammys, shout out, he's a good friend of mine. He one time on our show said the house is just a set, and I'm telling a story on the set, but the house is just the set. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's exactly how I thought about it too. And I started to put a couple videos together where it's, again, has nothing to do with the house, even though the house is the setting that the story is happening in. And so that's now how I think about those, what I call cinematic videos, where it's, you're bringing in an actor. You're almost like, I'm a producer at that point. You know what I mean? I'm not even, and I'm working closely with the videographer. I'm like, okay, here's the vision. Here's the storyline. Okay, here's the shots we need. We sit down and we storyboard it. We say, hey, here's the 2 shots we need from the bedroom. Here's the 2 shots we need from this. Here's the transitions. It's what they look like. And then a lot of like sound editing and which song. It's not just like which song, but it's like the sound post-production. It's like, all right, when he was like jumping in the pool, you have to add the sound of the splash in after. Point. So there's extra stuff in the sound editing to make sure it goes good. But yeah, I like to do now storytelling because, again, it helps one sell the house, right? Just gets more eyeballs and exposure for the house. Both those videos that I did last year, the big cinematic ones, had 50,000 plus views on. And so like the sellers like that, both of those sellers actually had told me, they're like, this is something we'll cherish like forever. Aww, like this is, it's like a showing off their house that they love. And then lastly, they usually, when you do them well and right, they get great play in the agent community, which leads to more referrals. Which true. Is so there's a lot of intangibles that come with it.
So it's your idea, and then you find the right videographer, or you have one. Let's say an agent had never done that and they don't have one, but they find a videographer and they storyboard with them. But then what about the actors or that? You're in California, Depends. So I don't know if that's easier, but.
Yeah, there's talent agencies so you can go to. Obviously, the best way to do it would be to have someone, friends or family, who just wants to do something for you. So the kid video was one of my wife and I's friends' sons. And I was like, I have a role in this head. I was thinking about Macaulay Culkin, Home Alone kid. So I was like, all right, he needs to be like 10 or 12, kind of like cute boy face. Like, all right, so like we can envision him running through the house. And I'm like, oh, this is Aston. And I'm like, so I reached out to the parents. I'm like, hey, can we use Aston? I'll pay him. I paid him $500 actually. Wow. And so we needed him for a few hours. And his mom, who's our friend, came to the shoot and she was hanging out with me and behind the camera, and we're like cheering him on and rooting. And then there was another video we did where it was actually the sellers, like going through their house. Good. And then the seller, Nuri herself, she did the voiceover for it. So it was very emotional because it was like her explaining why she loved her house. But then we've used actors as well. And so there's talent agencies here in San Diego, depending on what you need, half day, full day, and how many actors you need. It could cost anywhere from $500 to a couple thousand in talent fees. So if you can find a friend or you have people who can do it for you, then that would be better. But obviously, sometimes you actually just need someone to fit the role.
Wow, I love that. From beginning to end, is it you do it in one day typically? Something
yeah. Okay. Just max a 4-hour type thing would be like the max. Because then the videographer could also, we can shoot all the stuff that needs the actor, and then they can go home, and then the videographer can continue shooting if he needs to get the B-roll or the drone shots or something. So you book everything into where the actors, because that's what you're paying per hour, you're paying for them. So then after that, then the videographer can do whatever they need to do as well. But yeah, it's never more than half a day, I think.
You have a plan where you choose only certain houses that fit that bigger project.
Yeah, and it's not even price-based, it's more house-based. And so a random 2-bedroom condo, it might not have the same, that would be a tough video to shoot because you're not getting aerial drones that much. There's just, it's darker inside. It just isn't going to show as well. And so that might actually be one where you shoot a lifestyle video where you're walking through the neighborhood talking about that versus showing too much of the condo. So you're right. The house has to warrant it a little bit. And it's not necessarily a price thing. We've done, the cinematic one was the 3.3 million, but we've done them as low as like 500,000 where we did like a big video for it. It has to do with a lot of things. The house itself has to warrant it. It has to be in a neighborhood, or usually I want to do it in a neighborhood that I want to maybe do some more business in, because then I'm going to also mail the neighbors, make sure that they've seen the video, and then run ads to that neighborhood. So there's like a marketing cost to it. Do I want to do more business in this neighborhood? Maybe we want to do a better video because then we can use it as a marketing piece. So it matters. Now, every house gets our premier photos, 3D tour, floor plan, like the normal stuff that you need for the MLS. But then the video and like the quality of the video, what you choose, that might be based on it. It's just, I always just say the house needs to speak to you a little bit more.
Yeah, love that. So I saw also in your bio that you're a now BAM contributor. What does that mean?
So I've worked as the co-host of the walkthrough with Eric for about 2 years now, maybe
Oh,
a year and a
fun.
half, something like that. And so we shoot every Thursday, an episode where we just interview people from the real estate space who are doing cool things marketing wise. And so like the Matt Leonettis of the world who do these great videos, and maybe not even just listing videos, but maybe other things. And we talk about what's relevant in real estate marketing. And then I'll do both of the podcasts every Thursday, and then I do some written blogs, and we collab on social posts and stuff like that. So just a contributor to the
Fun.
Now Bam ecosystem. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And then I also saw something about being a sell it coaching.
Yeah. So I work with Ryan Serhant in the coaching program.
Cool.
Ryan Serhant, it has obviously his branded Serhant brokerage, but then within there, or aside that, there's a coaching arm similar to
Okay.
Tom Ferry, right? So it's like you pay X dollars per month, you get a one-on-one coach, you meet once a week for 30 minutes and you talk about your real estate business. So I'm one of the coaches in that org.
Well, that's great.
And so I have a roster of clients that I do coaching for with in the sell it arm. So I always have to be careful because it's not the Serhant brokerage, it's an arm of that. It's the coaching arm that I work
Okay.
with because I'm an agent at Real Broker. So I'm not part of the brokerage, but it is the same like parent company over there. Yeah.
Now, did Ryan find you or you found Ryan? Or how'd that pairing go?
I was introduced by one of Ryan's agents.
Okay.
And then I know, so Kat Torre and Candice Carpioloco, I don't know, I always say her name wrong. She's awesome. She did my branding redesign. They both work for Sell It and Serhant as well. And I've known a few people in the ecosystem for a little while. And then I was introduced by a friend who was at Serhant, the brokerage, but was also becoming a coach. And he's, hey, we're looking for 5 more coaches. We need agents who are like in production. We don't want coaches who are out of production. We want coaches who are
Oh,
in
that's
production.
smart.
You'd be
Yeah.
a great fit. And then then the intro was made and I onboarded and stuff like that. Yeah.
How do you like it? Is it fun?
Yeah, it's good. I've been doing it for about a year and a half now.
Okay. So do you have to find your own clients or do they lead them?
No,
So
they
it's kind of like
they
Tom
provide-
Ferry. You sign up and
It's
then they
exactly
sign
like
you
Tom
to
Ferry.
it.
Yeah, Tom Ferry, Brian Buffini, Mike Ferry.
All
It's a
that, yeah.
coaching ecosystem. Yeah, so there's a back end dashboard where people share referrals, share best practices and ideas and stuff like that. And then in there is obviously, as a coach, I also get access to the community, which is great because then I'm meeting other agents and getting referrals and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
that's
there's
true. That's
intangibles
great.
that go with that too.
How many clients did you say you have now?
Just a handful. That's the one thing. I think my roster is at 5 for coaching. And I told them ahead of time, I was like, hey, I have a team of 10. I'm still in production. Like I can't take more than, they want their coaches to take between 10 and 20
Oh,
clients
gosh.
on the roster. And I told them I'd be happy to be a part of it, but I could only take 5.
Yeah, I could see why. Yeah. So
Yeah,
going
'cause
back
it's
to
weekly. Yeah.
yeah, is it an hour or a half hour?
Half hour weekly though. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a lot. But going back to the team, how do you choose agents? Now you're down 2. So do you have a strategy on how you build the team up again?
Yes. So we've never actively like recruited team members. Like we're not putting out ads or anything like that. I have at one point when we got our Zillow partnership, I knew we were going to get a lot of leads. So I posted on Instagram just in the stories and I said, hey, we're looking to add 5 agents if anybody's interested. And I had DMs and people are just like, hey, I would be interested. And so that's the only time I've ever like outbound, and they just came to me through social media. And so everybody else on my team right now, the active roster, has come to me, I think, from a referral or through they followed me on social and they reached out or something like that usually. And I'm not necessarily like, I told my team recently when our two of the team members left, I was like, I'm in no rush to go fill the spots. I would actually just prefer to make all of you guys have more business. That's the
true.
ideal. Like if we could just be more efficient with the 8 that we have versus going, I don't have to have 10. It's just when the right person comes along, then maybe we'll have that conversation.
I like that. And I did want to also talk about your systems and operation because you have to have a pretty strong operational foundation to be able to scale. Is that
Yeah.
kind of a talent of yours? Is that something that you had to figure out?
That is learned. And I would say still learning. Like the last 2 years, I have been a systems guy. And that was the first 2 years of ever that I was a systems guy. And it's just because now as the team leader with 10 people,
You have to.
you have to. People are like, how do I do this? How do I, and especially some of the agents are new. So like instead of me having to take 40 minutes every time they have a question, I can say, oh, go to the guidebook. We have a SOP for that. And it's so for the last couple of years, I've been documenting these SOPs on like literally like how to write an offer, how to present your offer, how to show up 15 minutes, or like how to get to a showing.
Early.
Yeah, straight up. So I can have my client start there, and then there's a director of sales now as well, Mike. But like the two of us together, and we're doing one-on-ones every quarter, and we're doing team meetings every week, and so there has to be some like systems and processes in place for the entire team, so that they're not just coming to me every time. Because
Yeah.
I'm there to help anytime that they need me, but for normal stuff like onboarding and like SOPs, like how do we open an escrow and where do the docs go, like that type of stuff needs to be like outlined and systemized.
You can say just go to chat. They'll probably tell you just as text.
Pretty much, yeah. So I use Loom now.
Yeah, I like Loom.
Anytime I'm doing something
It
new
might happen again.
that might happen again, I record it, and then Loom will make an SOP. So like the pro version, you
Oh,
just
they
hit,
have an
and
AI now.
it's an AI that watches your
Wow.
video, and then
Okay.
it says, okay, number 1, do this, step 2, do this, and then I just copy it and put it into a Google Doc, and then share it in our team drive, and then I say,
awesome.
here's how to write a counter offer, and then they can watch my video, or they can skip ahead to the step 6 and learn on the SOP too, which has been great.
That's great. So you said that you have some of the folks on your team that are new. So for agents that are in their chapter 1 of their career, based on everything you've done and learned, what advice would you give them straight out of the gate?
Unless you have a big book of business of high school friends and stuff, and they're getting maybe like I'm from Sacramento, I moved to San Diego, so I didn't have a huge network when I moved here. I would say you got to get on a team. In
Okay.
this day and age, I think teams are so important to a team with lead flow. And I know I'm not going to cheat the system here and say find a Zillow Flex team or a Realtor.com team, but a team that has a lot of lead flow, because for your first 2 to 3 years or something, you just need at bats. An idle hand is the devil's playground or whatever. That's it. And like being bored or not having anything to do is like the death of a real estate agent. You have to be like active and doing stuff, even just being around shadowing. So being on a big team where there's a lot of deals happening, even if they're not your deals, is going to be better because you're going to have more open houses to hold. You're going to see more
Sure.
like rare situations with the curveball, and the learning curve. You're just going to shortcut a lot of that if you get onto a high performing team. Everybody's worried about their split and how much money they make and what they're getting provided. But for the first couple of years, until you've done probably 25 to 50 deals, forget about that. You know what I mean? Just I would rather. What is it like? Would you rather have 100% of a grape or 50% of a watermelon? It's like, I'd rather have 50% of a watermelon. And so like when you're trying to learn, everybody worries about their splits. You just need to be on a team that's doing a lot of business, because when you're around people doing a lot of deals, you're more likely to do a lot of deals yourself.
Now, when you first got started, you were solo. So you're speaking
Don't
from the
do as
rearview
I
mirror.
do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, that's exactly right. Because the first 2 years in the business, I did 3 deals and then 5 deals. And it's like at the end of the second year, I didn't get into the business to make 40 grand a year. Like
That's
I
right.
got into, and so then I shifted the environment. I got into a team ridge situation. They worked with an investor flipper. So I was able to learn how to find flips and stuff. And then flips are great because they write 7-day cash offers, and then you get to relist it. So you can get paid quick, and then you get a new listing later. And so basically I just changed the environment a little bit. And then that third year, I did 22 deals. And I went from 3 to 5 to 22. And that's why looking back, I'm like, man, I should have done this earlier. My indie broker who I started with is actually my director of sales now. I didn't burn a bridge
Oh, that's
or anything.
cool.
He came full circle, and now he works on our team. But sometimes it was just like the environment that you have to be in to make sure that you're successful. What is the failure rate? 88% of agents don't make it through the first.
87%. Yeah.
They don't make it through the first 3 years, and it's not
Yeah.
necessarily. They're trying to go at it on their own, and they want the 100% split or the big split. It's just get rid of all the ego for those first 3 years. Have no ego. Get on a team and just be around the action as much as possible.
That's very good advice. Which kind of segues into the question I always like to ask at the end. But so it might be a little repetitive, but I'd still love to hear your thoughts. That if you had to move to a brand new city tomorrow, not anywhere close to a location that you know about, and you don't know anyone there, what would be the first thing you would do to start scaling as quickly as possible?
So great question, right? So we're just going to assume that I don't get to bring my brand or book of business with me. I'm just going to be a
Correct.
new agent, right?
You're going to
so
Mississippi,
obviously
let's
I'm
say.
going to, exactly. So I would immediately, if I couldn't get on a top producing, maybe a Zillow Flex team or a team that has just a lot of leads coming in, because then they could just feed me for a couple of years until I could go out
True.
on my own. then I would, if I was trying to start over and build an actual brand, I would 100% adopt the Alyssa Kernot model of becoming like the digital hyper-local mayor, Kin Pozek, Alyssa Kernot. Like basically going in there, and if I'm brand new, I don't have anything else to do. So I'm posting every day, every other day, of the new developments that are happening, the new Chick-fil-A, the new restaurant in town, my 3 favorite coffee shops, what it's like moving from San Diego to Boise or whatever city I'm in, and start developing a digital mayor-esque brand and becoming the go-to. And then I'll mix in right hooks every 5th post or something about the real estate that I'm doing too. But I would just immediately, because that's the quickest way for virality right now on all the social platforms, is becoming like the hyper-local digital guy or digital girl, like the digital mayor of your town. That's the quickest way to generate a following.
Right.
And then with your following, then you can start to sell houses.
Plus, the bonus is you'll get to know your new place quicker and make friends quicker.
Correct. 100%. You get to know the business owners, you get to know the other movers and shakers, and then those people start referring you business because you highlighted their company on your Instagram.
I love that. Thank you so much. And Jason, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Thanks for listening to Rewriting Real Estate. If today's episode challenged your thinking or gave you a strategy worth trying, share it. The right move at the right time can change everything. Subscribe and listen in next week for more insight, more momentum, and more ways to grow your business your way.